to the postseason, Saints fans. The Saints are ready to go bear hunting in a wild card weekend matchup against Chicago in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline Gonzalez alongside John DeShazier.
Yeah, coming up on Dome at Home Live, we have a breakdown of today's game with Chicago native, former Saints great and legend Pierre Thomas, and also a one-on-one with safety Malcolm Jenkins.
Don't worry, Saints fans, throughout the entire show, we will be giving you live looks inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for our player warm-ups, so you won't miss out on a minute of the action. But first things first, let's get into our countdown to kickoff presented by Waitr. JD, big news coming out of Saturday. Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara activated onto the active roster for the Saints today.
Yeah, Saints are rejoined by a couple of stiffs, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. No, two of the best offensive players in the history of the league in certain categories, and certainly two of the best in Saints franchise history. So you get back Alvin Kamara, who's fresh off the last time we saw him, a 6-touchdown game on Christmas Day. You get back Michael Thomas, who we hope is fresh now. He's been battling that ankle injury this entire season, has not been quite himself. So you hopefully get both of those guys back healthy, and that should make the Saints offense just that much more formidable.
Absolutely. Well, when you're looking at the Saints offensive line, and we talked to a lot of people this week, they all said that this game is going to be won in the trenches. How important is it for the Saints offensive line to keep Drew Brees clean?
Well, they've been able to do so this entire season. Drew Brees has only been sacked 13 times in his 12 starts this season, and that's critical for what the Saints want to do offensively, because if Drew Brees has been getting beat up, we understand in past seasons that has been a key to eliminating the Saints from the playoffs. He's got to be upright. He's got to be clean. He's got to be able to see his targets, not just Michael Thomas, but also Jared Cook and Emmanuel Sanders and Alvin Kamara out of the backfield and Marquez Callaway. So Drew Brees being clean is critical to what the Saints want to do. And if he's clean, that means the Saints are protecting extremely well. And when they're protecting well, that means they're probably running the ball well too.
So funny, you just had to run through that arsenal of names because there's so many weapons for the Saints this year. When you look at the other side of the ball, JD, how important is that front four going to be, especially trying to keep Mitch Trubisky in the pocket?
Well, first you stop the run. And the defensive line always say you stop the run and then you earn the right to rush the passer. But here's the thing with Mitchell Trubisky. He's not necessarily much of a runner. He's had 6 games back starting since he was benched. He's only run for 175 yards in those 6 games, a couple of touchdowns. But what he does do is extend plays. And if he extends plays, that means your back end, your secondary, has to cover longer. And that makes it more difficult for your guys in the secondary. So that's why you want to keep him in the pocket, because he's less comfortable throwing from the pocket than he is probably on the move extending plays. So if you're the Saints, you want to get him off his rhythm. You want to hit him a few times. You got Cam Jordan. You won't have Trey Hendrickson in this game, but you will have Marcus Davenport. You will have David Onyemata. You will have Sheldon Rankins. You will have Carl Granderson. So they need to be able to get after him, hit him, make him uncomfortable, get him jittery, and hopefully that will produce, if not turnovers, then certainly your share of 3-and-outs.
Saints once again proving that they have depth on this roster. Well, reminder, fans, there are 3 ways that you can watch today's game coming up at 3:40 p.m. Central. You can watch on CBS, you can watch on Amazon Prime, you can also watch on Nickelodeon, especially if you have those kiddos at home. Well, Saints fans, we all know that you are pumped for this one. JD, we had a Saints fan, check in from Wales last week. Let's check out with some more Saints fans who are checking in from all across the globe in our Black and Gold Roll Call presented by Zatarans.
Hi, I'm Herman.
Hi, I'm Carrington.
I'm Tasha.
And this is Kingston.
We're from Louisiana, currently stationed in Italy.
And we want to say all the way from Italy,
Go Saints!
This is Craig from Surfers Paradise, Australia.
Hi, New Orleans. I'm Alan Boucher from Quebec City, Canada. I cheer for the Saints, and this year, we're gonna win everything!
Hello there, this is Jim over in Armagh in Ireland. Wishing the Saints all the best for the playoffs.
Guys, my name is Beckett. I live in Clifton, Virginia. I really like your team. I hope you win the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. I hope you win the Super Bowl. So good luck.
To that. These fraternal twin beignets are bleeding black and gold all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Hey, we're Lafayette, Louisiana, where the Davis is. We're ready to represent.
Well, the road to number 2 came with a first for the New Orleans Saints, a sweep of the NFC South with their win over the Carolina Panthers. Let's take a look at that game in our WWL Black and Gold recap. Carolina was the last stop on the Saints' NFC South sweep. Despite having to face their division rival without Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson due to COVID-19 protocols, the Saints managed to put on an offensive show. Drew Brees was 22 of 32 with 3 touchdowns, and they managed to gain more than 100 yards on the ground without key members of the running back corps. On the other side of the ball, the defense racked up 5 turnovers. Former Saints quarterback Teddy Bridgewater finished 13 of 23 for 176 yards and 2 interceptions. Final score, 33-7. And with that win came the number 2 seed in the NFC. Now it's on to the postseason for a rematch against the Chicago Bears. The Bears are coming off of a big loss against the Packers, where they displayed some of the same offensive and defensive struggles we've seen all season. This is the 3rd postseason meeting between these teams, and the Bears have gotten the edge on both of the previous matchups. But the Saints are heavily favored this time around. Now that doesn't mean the team is taking their opponent lightly. Their regular season matchup in Chicago went into overtime, with the Saints eking out to a 26-23 win. Here's what our guys are saying about the matchup in the Bo's Soundbites of the Week.
An attack that is, not just, a good offense or a strong defense, but really clicking on all 3 cylinders, special teams, defense, and offense, all really working together. And I think, that's a good sign moving into the playoffs. I think we're built to last, but, for us, it's really all about the Chicago Bears. And we played this team earlier this year, so we're very familiar. We think they match up well. And that'll be a tough game. So really all the resources in our minds are, built on how do we win this week. That's obviously the only one we're guaranteed.
I'll be honest, it's not even a discussion. It's our team against their team, whatever the environment is. It's kind of the way it's been the entire season. It's just been one of those weird seasons. I think we've all adjusted accordingly, and you just go out there and think about execution. Doesn't matter where you're playing or even who you're playing, honestly. You focus on your job, your business, being your best, executing your plan, and let the chips fall where they may.
Definitely don't think anyone is more deserving than Teron for that award this year. The things that he's had to go through this season and had to endure, and still be able to stay focused and locked in to come and perform at a high level for this team just speaks volumes about who he is as a person and the steadiness of his character and the dependability that you can have in him. And, he's playing some of his best football. And so whatever he's had to do to channel it all mentally, he's done it well and is definitely worthy of applause.
So if you're the Saints, how do you control Mitchell Trubisky? And also, if you're Alvin Kamara, what is it like coming back from a week absence?
Well, for those answers and more, we Chicago native and Saints legend, Pierre Thomas. Joining us now for the breakdown presented by NOLA Lending is Saints legend, Saints Hall of Famer. He needs no introduction, Pierre Thomas. Pierre, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Happy to have you on, a Chicago native, as your New Orleans Saints get set to take on the Chicago Bears. First question, obvious question. Who are you going to be rooting for?
Yeah, you guys put me in a tough spot at that point. I'm from Chicago, like you said, born and raised, grew up watching the Bears. And, went on to play in the NFL, but not for the home team, but for New Orleans, and went out and won a Super Bowl. So to be honest with you, I'm going to have to lean towards the Saints, of course, because first I got paid from them, and also we won a Super Bowl. So, Saints all day, but I still got a love for my Bears.
Listen, whoever signs the checks, right? You pay taxes to Chicago. They take your money. The Saints paid you. So,
exactly.
But in week 8, Pierre, obviously a different team, different Bears team, different Saints team. You had Drew Brees, who was a little banged up. He hadn't gone on IR yet. Nick Foles was the quarterback for the Bears, now Mitch Trubisky. And that game went into overtime and came down to the wire with a field goal from Will Lutz. What is the biggest difference in this wild card game for the Saints and for the Bears?
Well, it's like you said, that was week 8, kind of in the middle of the season. Guys a little banged up, but now, they're a lot more banged up. Towards the end of the season, this is when you got to grind. This is when you got to fight. You got to fix all the bumps and bruises that you had, during the whole stretch of the season. And now it's time. It's game time. It's ready to put your hard hat on and ready to go out there to work, because there's no coming back if you lose. So I know both teams knows that. And it understands that, and they're ready to fight, and at this point, just seeing both teams, just go out through the season. Of course, Saints, above achieved a lot more than the Bears have this season. And I see the Saints actually taking over at this one. I feel like they're comfortable. They got a good rhythm going. The Bears are still a little iffy, you know what I mean? And it saddens me to even say that, because sometimes they make me upset, watching their games. But they have been a little rocky this year, especially towards the end of the season. They finished 8-8, still played a, good record, but not probably where they wanted to be. Saints are, I believe, is it 13-3, I think, or I think it's
12-4.
12.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the Saints are, they're still on top, and they got a lot of weapons. So this is going to be a tough game. Both teams are going to fight. It's going to be a dog fight. And like you said, the first game they played during the season, it was a close game. They went into overtime, and then the field goal was the results. But the change of quarterback, hopefully Trubisky, we'll see about Trubisky, see if he steps up. He's been having a few good games towards the end of the season. They had a tough loss against Green Bay, but who knows? They know that this could be the end of their season, and they don't want to stop that. So they're gonna come full throttle with the Saints, and we know how the Saints are. The defense is doing a great job this season of controlling the offense teams and slowing the run game down, because they're going to definitely need that with the Bears run game if Montgomery is healthy and playing. And the Saints, they're going to have their hands full, and I hope these guys can pull it off. But probably answer a couple more questions. I like to rumble on.
Just a few. I love it, though. But we will continue on, in that first matchup as well. The Saints were without Emmanuel Sanders and without Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas practicing with the Saints this week after coming off of IR. Does that chemistry between Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, is that so automatic that there should be no rust? Or how long are you expecting, how many snaps, I guess, would you expect Drew Brees and Michael Thomas to kind of find that chemistry?
Well, they're both professionals. I don't think it would take that long for either one of them to find that rhythm. Yes, there's been a gap where they both wasn't on the field and playing at the same time, but I know the Saints, from playing with them, and it's easy for us to get in the same type of rhythm. You know what I mean? And they got a lot of weapons, just like when I was playing in my days. We had a lot of weapons. We had a lot of guys, and we had other guys that can step up too. So I don't see that rhythm is going to fall off.
I just want to remind you that you're saying we and us a lot, so you're still going to be cheering for the Saints all the way to the end. So I'm just saying.
Hey, you know what? I already said it. My favorite's with the Saints. My favorite's with the Saints.
I was talking to Zach Strief and Deuce McAllister earlier this week, and they were saying that this game is going to be won in the trenches on the defensive line for the Saints, going against obviously the the Bears offensive line, and then the Saints offensive line protecting Drew Brees. And so what's your take on that? Is this going to come down to that line of scrimmage?
Definitely. Those dudes up front are monsters, are beasts. Drew has a great line in front of him, but the Bears defensive line is aggressive. You got a big Keem Hicks. We already know how he played. He was with the Saints before. We know what he can do. You got Mack. He's a monster on the edge. So they got a tough job on their hands right now with that defensive line with the Bears. And the same thing with the Bears. You got Cam Jordan, who's explosive off the edge, one of the best DNs out in the league at this time. And you got a lot of guys up front that can, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So it's going to be a lot of work going up front, and it's going to see who's going to win the battle. I think that's going to probably tilt to who's going to win the actual game.
Well, Pierre, you've given us a lot of nuggets here and there. Pretty much your entire conversation has been keys to the game. But if you could can compact it a little bit, 3 keys for a Saints victory over the Bears.
Number 1, balance on running and passing. Number 2, I would say the chemistry, the talking will, definitely have to play a part. You guys got to be on the same page, and just having fun is number 3. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. If you see those boys out there having a good time, flying around, having fun, getting excited, that's a different type of energy. You know what I mean? No, they don't have the fans like we used to, because we're in tough times at this point, but they still feel their presence, I believe. You know what I mean? I feel like they still feel the presence, and if they get excited, that explodes it a little bit more. So I think those are the 3 key things that these guys need to focus on, and hopefully Sean will be a little bit more balanced, but we'll see. We know he loves to air it.
We'll see, indeed. Well, Pierre, we appreciate you joining us for the breakdown presented by NOLA Lending.
Thank you guys for having me.
Gotta love Pierre Thomas, especially since he's cheering for the black and gold today. Let's take a look at social media and see what fans are talking about on this game day. And our Look Who's Tweeting presented by Cox. This first one comes from Jacques Doucette. Hashtag Saints Emmanuel Sanders says Sean Payton should be NFL Coach of the Year.
Well, I'm biased, I'm provincial, and yet I detect no lies in that one, Jacques. We all agree with you on that one.
No lies detected, no lies detected. To cheer on our Saints as they beat the Bears. The road to our 2nd Super Bowl starts today.
Where you at, Governor? Are you in the house today? Because you should be. I would imagine we can find a seat for the governor, right?
You would hope so. Well, JD, in the Saints playoff runs in the past, they've had to rely heavily on the offense, but this year's team is built a little differently.
Yeah, they always say defense wins championships, and certainly the Saints have put together one that they believe is worthy of winning a championship. In our one-on-one spotlight today, presented by Sanderson Farms, we've got safety Malcolm Jenkins, who's been a critical part of that defense. You're playing for a team that believes it has a really good chance of winning the whole thing, but how do you take those small steps before you get to the big steps?
Yeah, you don't talk about the whole thing. Right now, the whole thing is the Chicago Bears, and you can't take multiple steps, in the playoffs. You take one at a time, because the one that you have in front of you isn't guaranteed. You're not given, any more shots before you earn it. And so for us, it's about how do we give ourselves the best opportunity to beat the Chicago Bears, and that's through our preparation throughout the week, making sure that we turn every stone, that we're prepared, we get guys back, we're healthy, and then we go execute and be the best team on Sunday. And so for us, it's really about putting those blinders on. We know, where we've been in the past and where we want to go. But in order to do that, that takes an extreme focus and presence in the here and now. And so we need to be present in this moment and really get ourselves prepared to go win a game.
How good have you felt about this defense this season? Because there have been stretches where the Saints defensively have probably been as good as any team in the league.
Yeah, I think, for us, it's been about consistency. We started off the year not where we wanted to and made the adjustments that we needed to, both as players individually, as groups, as a coaching staff, to really put us in the best situations. And we played, like you said, there were stretches where we've been lights out and played how we wanted to. But there's also been stretches where, we didn't quite execute in the way that the standard that we've set for ourselves. And so for us, we know in order for our team to have success this week, we're going to have to, show up as a defense. It was the same way when we played them the last time. And the good thing is we know that we have the coaching staff, the scheme, and the players to execute that. And so it's just up to us to make sure that, we are at our best selves and clicking on all cylinders come Sunday.
You mentioned having already played this team, a 26-23 win in overtime in Chicago, but is that offense now different with a different quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, instead of Nick Foles?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles, is not going to be a running quarterback. He's not scrambling. when they do run the zone read stuff, he's rarely going to keep it. Whereas Trubisky is a much more mobile quarterback. They're doing a lot more movement passes, getting him on the perimeter, giving him easy reads, giving him the ability to use his legs. And we've really not done that well against mobile quarterbacks this year. And so that creates a unique set of challenges for us that we'll have to deal with. And they got a great running attack and great targets that have been playing well. You've seen our offense really turn around over the last 4 weeks. And I think it's because they have a great balanced attack with their run game and then their boot and play action off of it.
Okay, now we're going to get you out of here on this, and I'm not going to ask you to name any names, but 3 interceptions this year. You got your 3rd against Carolina in the regular season finale. We thought you were going to take it to the house. Who missed the block?
Nobody missed the block. The guy at 10 is just faster than I am. We actually had it blocked up. It just, I thought I was going to get to the house too. Shammy had a different idea, I guess.
All right, Malcolm, we appreciate it.
We love having Malcolm Jenkins on this squad, that is for sure. I know the Saints defense is grateful to have him too. All right, well, hot off the presses, Saints fans, we have the Inactives List presented by Acadian Ambulance. JD, the 2 biggest names on that list, Trey Hendrickson, Nick Easton.
Yeah, the big thing, Trey Hendrickson, 13.5 sacks, led the team this season, so you lose that pass rush presence. And Nick Easton probably has been the most versatile Saints offensive lineman this season. You could make an argument that he's been the most valuable Saints offensive lineman this season. He's played left guard, he's played right guard, he's capable of playing center, and having him on injured reserve now really digs into the depth on that offensive line.
And you get a few players off of that COVID-19 reserve list that you were missing in that Panthers game as well. Well, JD, you got a chance to catch up with one of the Saints' biggest fans, and he's not in the stands, he's not watching the game at home on TV. He is on the field capturing some of the Saints' biggest moments. Here's My Team, My Town, presented by Tabasco.
New Orleans is what I am. And to be a part of the New Orleans Saints is something you really just can't even dream. I'm Michael Hebert, the Director of Photography for the New Orleans Saints, and this is My Team, My Town.
Now, this is your 37th year in the NFL, 24th year as Director of Team Photography for the Saints. There are a lot of things you could have done. There are a lot of places you could have worked. Why come home to work for your home team?
Well, I was born in New Orleans and have always been what I considered a football player as a child. I played at Cleary Playground, Metairie Middle, Archbishop Rummel, attended Tulane University. So New Orleans is what I am. And to be a part of the New Orleans Saints is something you really just can't even dream. It is a special connection because I've lived here and I've grown up here, and New Orleans is always that unique, special bond between the team and the fans.
When you snap a photo like that, do you know immediately this is the one?
Not all the time. I mean, to be honest with you, the ones with the trophy, you don't know which one's gonna stand out, but you know they're special. I can tell you the one picture that I knew was special, and it was the only time in the history of my photography career I almost went to the bench to show Coach Payton the back of my camera. It was the 2-point conversion with Lance Moore in the Super Bowl. It happened right in front of me. I knew immediately. I looked at it on the digital camera on the back of the frame, and I knew he made the 2-point conversion. And we went to a TV timeout, and they were able to review it, and obviously it was good.
Now, Michael, you've taken a lot of iconic photos in your history with the New Orleans Saints. What are some of those that really stand out for you?
Sean Payton sitting on the plane when we were coming home from Miami, sleeping with the Super Bowl trophy. I was walking down the aisle. He was sleeping. I turned off the flash. It's one frame. I sat in my seat and went to sleep just like him. That picture's really become special. I would say there's a photograph when Steve Gleason led the Who Dat chant, with Drew standing behind him crying. When Drew started crying, I started crying. Steve means so much to all of us. Very iconic photograph for me. I was supposed to be on the float with the offensive lineman and Drew Brees for the Super Bowl parade. And at the last minute, Mr. Benson decided he wanted me on his float with him and Ms. Gail Benson. So they moved me to the front float, and it kind of worked out because As we turned down Poydras and as we moved through the city, I spotted a little girl in the audience that evening, and she was just holding up a sign that said, "Thank you, because it's much more than football." It is the picture that ties the fans in. It ties the Saints in our community to, it is much more than football, John. I know you know that, but that picture's a real significant photograph for me because of what it meant coming out of the Katrina, coming out of the days when we weren't a winning, successful franchise. Everything turned, and I think it's really interesting that when we turned down to the convention center, I had mentioned to Mr. Benson and Ms. Benson, wow, what a difference. Look at all the joy in the same spot that not so long ago wasn't really good for us nationally. So yeah, that picture's pretty significant with that little girl holding that sign, and yet it's not an action shot. It's not a football player, but that picture's pretty special for us here at the facility.
I'll tell you what, Michael, we can hear in your voice the passion you have for your team, your town, and the way you chronicle it, the past, the present, and we're certainly looking forward to more of your work in the future.
Thank you, John.
Well, JD, without even talking about it, we are matching today, and I think we're going to have to post our hashtag Saints Game Day pick at some point. Let's look at some fans who have already posted their pictures using the hashtag Saints Game Day, presented by Coke. Well, JD, all of our Saints fans are important. We love seeing those smiling faces on game day, but this one was a little special. This one comes from CD Said 1125. We are Saints fans. My daughter Kayla is in the hospital suffering from sickle cell disease, but we are rooting for the Saints to win. On hashtag Saints Game Day, Kayla would love to see Drew Sanders to have a great game, and Malcolm Jenkins with the stellar, great Saints defense to do what they do. You gotta love it, JD. Hopefully the Saints can win one for Kayla. And speaking of winning, let's go ahead and get into our score predictions fueled by Chevron, JD. I am going 31-14. Saints win.
Are you kidding me? I'm going trusty. I always know what the score is going to be, okay? I've been really, really close. 31-23, Saints win.
Maybe one day, JD. Maybe one day. All right, Saints fans. Well, who will be accepting the rose for the Saints to advance to the next round? It is Matt James, the star of ABC's The Bachelor, says he's ready to commit to the Saints. Take a look.
What's going on, Saints fans? Matt James here. Long before I was The Bachelor, I was a New Orleans Saints wide receiver. I wish I could be down there playing with you on the playoffs, but I can't catch in. I'm currently busy at the moment, but hey, let's go Saints.
Let's go back inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome one last time to check out our player huddle presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Y'all done heard me say, we proud, we kill, we eat. Let me hear you one time. We proud, we kill, we eat. Let me tell you a little bit about that proud. See, in that jungle when that beast so proud, see, his heart rate, his light and rain, but it's calm. His mindset, he's so locked in on these prayers, and his heart, his pride, and his born for the strength, for the kill. That's the game. You feel that in your step? That's that heart rate, light and rain, but it's calm. That mindset, and we gon' read them boys like a book. We locked in, love, folks. Let this team, everybody on this team, it's time and forward for the strike.
We are so close to kickoff, Saints fans, coming up at 3:40 p.m. Central. Reminder, you can watch that game on 3 different stations. You can watch it on CBS, Nickelodeon if you have those kiddos at home, or of course on Amazon Prime. Don't forget also, we will have your post-game show right here presented by Mercedes-Benz. We'll have your live press conferences of Coach Payton, Drew Brees, players, and of course the analysis of John DeShazier. All right, Saints fans, let's get you hyped with the Saints stations.
Party going up, party going up, the party going up, party going up, the party going up, party going up, the party going up. Better go get it. Better get it, better go get it. Better get it, go get it, what you waiting for? Better get it, better go get it. Go get it, go claim it, what you waiting for? Keep winning, keep spinning, adding to the digits, popping while I'm sipping. Go get her, mo to the pot, go get her, I'ma stash me a lot. Keep spinning, foot tripping, trip tipping, all-star vision, add more digits, exclusive with the business, always winning, better go get it. Where my down south brothers, where my down south sisters, it's getting hot in here, it's getting hot in here, it's getting hot in here. Better go get it, better get it, better go get it, better get it, go get it, what you waiting for?